When America entered World War II, it faced armies that had been fighting for years. But what the United States lacked in experience, it made up for with an industrial machine that would produce weapons on a scale the world had never seen. By war's end, American factories had manufactured over 20 million firearms alone. Today, we're covering every major weapon that American forces carried into battle, from the rifles that island-hopped across the Pacific to the flamethrowers that ended the war in the caves of Okinawa. This is the complete arsenal of American World War II weaponry. Let's start with the backbone of any infantry force, rifles and carbines. The M1 Garand was revolutionary. While enemy soldiers worked bolt actions between shots, American GIs could fire 8 rounds as fast as they could pull the trigger. This semi-automatic rifle, chambered in .30-06, gave U.S. infantry a firepower advantage that German commanders openly envied. Over 4 million were produced, and General Patton famously called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. But not every soldier needed a full-power battle rifle. Enter the M1 carbine, lighter, handier, and firing a smaller .30 caliber cartridge. Originally designed for officers, vehicle crews, and support troops, it proved so popular that over 6 million were manufactured, actually outnumbering the Garand. For airborne troops, there was the M1A1 paratrooper carbine with its folding metal stock. Paratroopers could strap it to their chest and have a ready weapon the instant their boots hit the ground. America also still had rifles from the previous war. The M1903 Springfield was a bolt-action holdover that couldn't match the Garand's rate of fire, but it was accurate and reliable. Many were converted to grenade launchers, and the scoped 1903A4 became the primary American sniper rifle, bringing precision to battlefields from Normandy to Iwo Jima. The M1917 Enfield, another Great War veteran, was pulled from storage for training and given to allies who desperately needed firearms. And there was even the M1941 Johnson rifle, a quirky alternative to the Garand with a rotary magazine that some Marines enthusiastically used early in the Pacific. When fighting moved to close quarters, submachine guns ruled the battlefield. The Thompson 1928A1 was the original Tommy gun, beautifully machined with fancy cooling fins and that iconic top-mounted charging handle. But beautiful meant expensive, and war demanded efficiency. So came the M1A1, simplified, stripped down, but still firing that heavy .45 ACP round that was devastating at close range. It was the workhorse version that most GIs actually carried. But even that wasn't cheap enough. The M3 grease gun looked like something from a mechanic's toolbox, made of stamped steel and crude welds. It cost a fraction of what a Thompson did and fired slower, which actually made it easier to control. Ugly, but effective. The Marines briefly used the M50 Rising, but its reputation in the Pacific was terrible. Sand and mud caused constant malfunctions, often requiring troops to manually force the bolt closed in the middle of firefights. Pistols and revolvers, every officer and many support troops carried a sidearm. The 1911 A1 is legendary for good reason. This semi-automatic pistol fired a .45 caliber slug with tremendous stopping power. It was so well designed that it remained America's service pistol for over 70 years, only being replaced in 1985. The Smith & Wesson Victory model was a .38 special revolver produced in massive quantities. While less powerful than the 1911, it armed aircrew, Navy personnel, and countless security guards. The Colt 1917 revolver was another World War I comeback, firing the same .45 ammunition as the 1911 using special moon clips. For covert operations, the OSS had the HDM suppressed .22 pistol, so quiet it was once fired into a sandbag in the Oval Office without President Roosevelt noticing. And then there was the FP-45 Liberator, possibly the strangest weapon of the war. This crude single-shot pistol cost about $2 to make. Millions were manufactured to be dropped behind enemy lines so resistance fighters could ambush a German soldier and take his weapon. It was more psychological warfare than practical firearm. Machine guns provided the heavy firepower that defined defensive positions and supported advancing troops. The M1 1918A2 Bar, the Browning automatic rifle, walked the line between rifle and machine gun. Each infantry squad had one, and it fired full-power rifle rounds that could suppress enemy positions. Its 20-round magazine limited sustained fire, but its portability made it invaluable. For sustained fire, there was the M1 1919A4 Browning, air-cooled, tripod-mounted, and reliable. It provided base of fire support and required a crew to operate effectively. Engineers tried to make it more portable with the M1 1919A6, adding a buttstock and bipod. It worked, but it was awkwardly front-heavy. The M1 1917A1 used water cooling to fire for hours without overheating, making it perfect for defensive positions where sustained fire was critical. And then there was Mod Deuce, the M2 Browning 50 caliber. This heavy machine gun could destroy light vehicles, aircraft, and fortifications. It was so perfectly designed that it's still in service with the U.S. military today, over 80 years later. Shotguns in close quarters, especially in the Pacific jungles, were terrifying weapons. The Winchester Model 1897 trench gun could slam fire. It would fire instantly as you pumped it, creating a devastating burst of buckshot. It had earned such a fearsome reputation in World War I that Germany actually protested its use. The Winchester Model 12 was the sleeker, hammerless evolution that saw heavy use in the Pacific theater. The Ithaca 37 ejected shells from the bottom, keeping dirt out and making it essentially ambidextrous. The Stevens 520, with its distinctive humpback receiver, served primarily in guard and security roles, though it saw plenty of frontline action too. Anti-tank and heavy weapons. Infantry needed weapons to fight armored vehicles and fortified positions. The M1A1 bazooka was revolutionary, a portable rocket launcher that gave foot soldiers a chance against tanks. Its shaped charge could burn through armor, though the backblast was dangerous to anyone standing too close behind. Late in the war came the M18 recoilless rifle, essentially a shoulder-fired 57mm cannon that vented gas backward to eliminate recoil. The M1 57mm anti-tank gun was a license-built British design that gave infantry potent anti-armor capability. The M3 37mm anti-tank gun was outdated against German armor by 1942, earning the nickname Pop Gun, but it remained useful in the Pacific for destroying Japanese bunkers. The M1 rifle grenade launcher was a muzzle attachment to the Garand that turned any rifleman into light artillery, launching grenades far beyond throwing distance. Explosives cleared obstacles, destroyed fortifications, and denied territory to the enemy. The Mk2 pineapple grenade was the iconic fragmentation grenade, grooved cast iron that shattered into deadly shrapnel. The M15 white phosphorus grenade, called Willie P., created smokescreens and scattered burning phosphorus that couldn't be extinguished with water. M1 anti-tank mines were buried in roads to immobilize enemy armor and disrupt supply lines. Bangalore torpedoes were tubes of explosives pushed under barbed wire obstacles. On D-Day, they cleared paths from beach defenses for advancing infantry. TNT satchel charges were canvas bags of explosives with fuses, the ultimate bunker buster, thrown into pillboxes to destroy them from inside. Knives and bayonets. When ammunition ran out or silence was required, soldiers relied on blades. The M3 combat knife was a fighting dagger designed purely for close-quarters combat. The USMC K-Bar became legendary, rugged enough to pry open crates and sharp enough to save your life. It remains an icon of the Marine Corps to this day.
The M1 Garand bayonet started as a 16-inch sword but was cut down to 10 inches for practicality. Mounted on a rifle, it remained both a psychological and physical weapon. The M1917 Enfield bayonet was a long blade that interestingly fit perfectly onto Winchester trench shotguns. The M1918 Mark I trench knife was brutal, featuring brass knuckles and a skull crusher pommel, issued to paratroopers and rangers for silent work.